Hello and welcome to another episode of the Portrait Profit Show. I'm so glad you're here with me today. I've got some fun stuff to share with you. My name is Jim Landers, and my mission is simple. I help portrait photographers do what they love and make a great income doing it. Each week on the Portrait Profit Show, you get tips and systems on the business side of photography designed to help you gain a mastery over marketing and sales, reducing the stress that most photographers face so you can finally get what you deserve. You're in the right place. Welcome to the Portrait Profit Show. The Portrait Profit Show is brought to you by Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School. Digital Pro Lab is owned by Amanda Dominguez, and you can find more information about that lab because it's fantastic at digitalprolab.com. Go to digitalprolab.com and learn more about Digital Pro Lab if you're not already working with them. And of course, if you're looking for growth in the photography side, well, Landers Photography School at landersphotoschool.com, or just reach out to me directly. You can do it via chat or do it via posting while we're doing the show. But you could also reach out to me via my email address, jim@landersphotoschool.com, jim@landersphotoschool.com. So I encourage you guys, especially today, to interact with me. I'm going to be saying some common or slang words here in just a little bit, and I'm going to want you to come up with some other or alternative words, possibly better. It's up to you whether they are or not, but I want you to be thinking about it. So if you're able, put yourself in a position where you can type into the comments section. This will be fun. Now, because I want you to do that, and I always want you to interact, and I want you to, and you're going to see this going across the bottom of the screen right now. We use a platform called StreamYard that causes us to be able to simulcast this show to 8 different places, 5 Facebook groups, 2 YouTube channels, and 1 LinkedIn page. And because of that, if we were to monitor every single one of them, it would take all of my attention away. And so what this program does is when you make a comment, it brings it in. Now, it's only doing it for the Facebook side. It's not doing it for the YouTube and LinkedIn. And I can come back and look at those later. But the Facebook page, the 5 Facebook pages, if you make a comment on any of those, I receive it. And if you take the time to give give StreamYard permission to use your name, then I'll know who it's coming from. So do me a favor and do that. I know on some platforms it actually doesn't work. However, most of them it does. So use that link down at the bottom. You're seeing it going across right now. You see the Facebook StreamYard.com/Facebook going across the bottom of your screen right now. Use that to give permission to StreamYard so that I can see your name. Now, I want each of you to right now do something in the comments section and enter #live. That tells me that you're here watching right now. And if you're watching this as a replay, then #replay because you're not watching it live. But those of you who are watching right now, do me a favor, enter in #live to let me know that you're here and watching right now. So I want to put this on the screen real quick, this address, and I'll put it in the notes as well, or the comments. But for you guys who are watching me here today, there's, in addition to this being totally free, I have a free perk for you. And that is what you see on the screen right now. It's called a business assessment consultation. It's a free 30-minute private session with me, just you and me, to talk about your business. We could talk about marketing. We can talk about pricing. That's a big one, making sure we have the right price list. And it is a big one because 95% of people do not have the right price list and are totally unaware of it. In fact, the majority of those thoroughly believe that their price list is correct. Of course, they're the ones who, when their camera dies and they need to buy a new one, there's nothing in the bank account to buy a new one, despite the fact that they have been busy. Price list is a big one. But with this business assessment consultation, you are going to get a free private session with me. So let me put that in the comments real quick. Hey, Janice. Hey, Lupe. I see several Facebook users, so you guys are remaining anonymous today, and that's fine. All right, so you should start seeing that in your feed right now. It takes a moment to get to all the different ones because there's 8, so it's going through one at a time, uploading the address. But Just click on that link, add yourself to my calendar. Yeah, it's as simple as that. So let's see. I also want to encourage you, of course, to help me share this show by clicking that share button that's right over there below the post. It's right there. There's the like and the comment and the share. So share this. Share this with with people that you know who enjoy photography. You could do a direct share where you just enter in a comment and enter in hashtag and then their name, or should be at symbol and their name, and that's a way to share this directly. But also share this with your groups, the different photography groups that you're in, so that more people are aware and more people are doing what they need to do in order to be happy the with the thing that they love, being a portrait photographer. So do that for me real quick. Click share so that we get more people watching this show. All right. So why would I care about something like that, about sharing the show? Well, the more people that are watching, the more we are all uplifted to do things that help us reach our goals. And you may think, well, if I know, then I get a jump on everyone else. It's not really how it works, because if everyone, let's say, just take one thing, just take pricing. If everyone's prices are really low, and when you share your normal prices, then people are thinking you're price gouging. So if we were to share this message, the things that are real about photography and about running a business, those people who have those photographers that have such low prices will raise them to a price that causes them to be profitable. Therefore, those higher today prices will be considered normal tomorrow. And the only way to make sure that they are aware of that is by letting them know. So I encourage you to share this show with photographers. Thank you for doing that, you guys. Now, today, we're talking about portrait business vocabulary. So let's see, I'll add that to the screen so that you can see the show graphic for today. But this is an interesting thing because we use slang all the time, and maybe that's right for what you do. I'm not going to tell you that the tools you use are wrong or right. They may be wrong or right for you, but they're not, they're all good. So like your photography, vocabulary, the words you use, the phrases that you use, they have the potential to transform perceptions, just like your photography does. Our vocabulary can reveal values, it can influence how you're perceived. In this episode of the Portrait Profit Show, we'll explore photography vocabulary and define the differences between the various aspects of photography business. Um, Now, I definitely have a bias here when it comes to my photography. We all do. We're human, so therefore we have bias. I believe in using formal, classic, professional language instead of slang or common or popular or even temporary language, such as socially or politically motivated language. I really try to avoid that. For instance, I don't call what a photographer does to be a shoot, a photo shoot. I don't call it that. I call it a photography session. Again, it doesn't make it wrong that you call it something different. It's a good thing. All the words are good. They may or may not be right for what you're trying to convey to your client, but they're all good. I'm just telling you what I choose to do and what my clients seem to appreciate. So let's pick out a word. I'm going to go through a bunch of them here in a moment, but let's pick out a word. How about customer versus client? And let's see, let's put that one up, and I can take that down now. Customer versus client. Now, what is the difference between customer and client? I like to differ. Now, you may say there's nothing different, and that's fine, but I like to differentiate them by saying that if they can buy from you without direct interaction of an owner or salesperson, they are a customer. But if they must interact with your business in order to do business with you, they're now a client. and I put that in an elevated state versus customer. I know that sounds simple enough. Let's go into that just a little further. A customer is someone who purchases goods or services from a business where a direct interaction with the business might not be necessary. Customers can make one-time or occasional purchases, but they could also have a long-term relationship with the business and not even know the owner or a manager or even any particular employees. They may never even cross paths with an owner or a manager. But it is also possible that they know them personally, know employees, know managers personally. So none of these represent a differentiation between a customer and a client. The term customer is usually connected with retail business. For example, someone who buys a product from an online store or an in-person store or a coffee shop is considered a customer. Now, individual coffee shops might call them different names because, well, you have the ability to call them whatever you feel is appropriate. What about a client? A client is someone who engages in the services or expertise of a professional or a business. Clients could make one-time or occasional purchases, but they typically have an ongoing relationship with the service provider and require direct interaction or personalized attention. Clients often seek services or solutions that are tailored to their needs. Examples include hiring a lawyer, a financial advisor, a marketing agency, or, of course, a portrait photographer. These are the specific definitions or usage and understanding of customer and client vary depending on lots of different variables, such as the industry you're in, company practices, regional usage. Like all words, it's essential uh, to consider the context in which the terms are being used to fully understand their meaning. And so while I go through these words here in just a little while, I'm going to go through a couple more like this, not anywhere near as in depth as I just did for customer and client. But as I go through those words, you'll see how some of them can be used in multiple different ways. And it's why I say that they're all good. They're just not all right for what you're trying to accomplish. So let's let's do a different one. By the way, if what you're hearing so far is resonating with you, do me a favor in the comments section and just write yes, just yes, just as simple as that. Now, you could go further than that and saying, yeah, this is good, I like this, but just wait. If you think what you've heard so far is good, you haven't heard anything yet. So let's talk about picture versus photograph. Now, what about using the term photograph instead of pic or picture or photo when referring to an image? I mean, it sounds more professional and formal to me, and it aligns with the precise terminology that's used in the industry. And I believe that that helps convey a sense of expertise or respect for photography. That's what I believe. You don't have to agree. How about what is a professional? What is a professional? Is it someone who accepts money? Does that make someone a professional? I guess in a strict definition, it does. A client has no way of understanding all of the classes that you take, the experience that you have, and the time that you have and continue to invest in yourself and your business. In my opinion, to truly embody professionalism, you will need to deliver beyond what a friend or neighbor could provide. The neighbor could come over and photograph your family in the backyard and then give you the digital files. So, my suggestion, if you want to come across as professional, is do more than what the neighbor could have done. Again, that's just my definition. There are times when giving the digital files is exactly what you should be doing. But we need to think about what can we do that is greater than what the neighbor could have done, because the neighbor can give digital files. We've got to do something more. We have to define what something more is based on what we feel is right for us and our clients, our target market. So here's a question that I've heard in my classes. And someone asked, "Is it bad? Is it lazy? Is it unprofessional to use the slang terms around paying clients, or is it just more professional to use proper vocabulary?" So they're wanting a little clarification there, because saying photo shoot is not unusual. It's very normal. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. It isn't. It's good. I do formal traditional photography. I'm going to use formal traditional vocabulary. So if you're photographing models or high school seniors, you might choose that photo shoot is the right terminology for what you're doing. It's up to you. I'm telling you one guy's perspective. You might have a different one. So, in answer to that question that someone asked, is it bad, lazy, or unprofessional to use those popular terms around paying clients? Now, this person was differentiating between talking amongst peers, because when we talk amongst peers, we're using jargon and slang and everything constantly. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a moment. But um, first, what you need to be, or excuse me, be, you need to be who you are. So use the language that causes you to be perceived in the way you want to be perceived. That being said, using slang terms around paying clients could be perceived as unprofessional. It could. I'm not saying that it will, because there's many instances where it absolutely doesn't. It doesn't matter. But it could. And for my target market, I think it does. But it could be perceived as unprofessional. And if that's the case, well, then it negatively impacts, as you're speaking to a prospect, it negatively impacts a prospect's or a client's perception of your professionalism or your expertise. And I care about how I'm perceived. So I want to use proper formal language. Again, me. Now, let's talk about, I've got 5 reasons why proper language should be considered, at least. So here's 5 reasons why using proper language is generally considered more professional in client interactions. So the first is clarity and understanding. Some slang terms or jargon can be ambiguous or unfamiliar to your prospects and clients. So, I mean, they don't do this stuff every day like you do. This stuff rolls off your tongue. If someone else is talking, you get it, and you can speak quickly, or they can speak quickly, and you can get it. For them, we need to use more precise language. Using proper terms is one of many ways to communicate clearly, which is something we care about. Otherwise, you may cause unintended confusion or misunderstandings. Obviously, we want to have good communication. How about client perception? Number 2. So clients hire photographers for their skills, their expertise, and their professionalism. Using proper language helps create a positive impression, and it reinforces the perceptions that you are taking your work seriously. And not only that, but it demonstrates respect for your clients and their investment in your services. Number 3, trust and confidence. Using professional language causes clients to know that they're working with a knowledgeable and experienced photographer who has taken the time to learn the proper language. And that immediately builds trust and reassures clients that they're in capable hands. Number 4, industry standards. All right, this is an area that we all have different opinions on. And those with a different opinion than I might have are not, they're not wrong, because some slang is absolutely standard for the industry. So like everyone knows what a photo shoot is. There's one example. But I want to be perceived on a level above standard. So I believe in utilizing formal photography vocabulary. By using the formal vocabulary, you are adhering to to professional norms, and you're elevating standardized communication. Again, my opinion. Number 5 of 5, personal branding. I consider using formal language as a part of establishing and maintaining my professional brand. Consistent use of professional terminology helps you develop a reputation as a credible and well, it helps you maintain or develop a reputation as credible and trustworthy, not only with clients, but among your peers. I want to reiterate that you should use language that causes you to be perceived in the way that you want to be perceived. And consider adopting your communication style to your target market. I'm not saying that's the direction always. I'm saying that is something to consider. Now, here is the fun part, and I want you guys to interact. Do me a favor and post in the comments your responses. I'm going to go through a bunch of words, and I want you to give me alternatives right now in the comment section. So I want to see a lot of typing going on. So these are common, popular, or slang words, and I want you to come up with an alternative. Now I'm going to share alternatives, and you're welcome to type in the word that I used to, because you got it right, or you thought of it before I said it, or it makes sense to you. You're welcome to type in exactly what I just said. But I'll give you just a moment. I'm going to go through these relatively quickly, so probably not enough time to type much. But I'm just looking for one word, possibly a phrase, as I go through these. So, first word is appointment for meeting with a prospect. Now, you write in your alternate word for appointment. Appointment's not a bad word. I'm not saying that these common popular slang words are bad. They're not. They're fine. Appointment's a good word. It should be used. But what is an alternative to it? Now, you might be typing something in right now, but I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. And some of the alternate words I have are just one word. Some of them I have several words for. This is one that I have several words for. For another way to describe your appointments is a chat, a visit, a talk, a meet and greet. How about a consultation? There are several ways that you might say appointment. And I'm not telling you need to change that word. I use that word myself. How about the next word? Backup. Now, this is backing up your digital files. Backup. I like to say, and I'm probably not giving you enough time to type these in. Sorry. Archive. So instead of saying back up my files, when I'm talking to a client, I often will say in my archive, or I will archive. Or if someone's asking for photographs from a few years ago, then I will likely say I will be getting them from the archive, and that's true. And the archive is done slightly different than the stuff that's live, and live stuff is within a year. And then at the end of each year, approximately, I put things into the archive. And it does take me a little bit longer to get to those, because they're no longer sitting there in Lightroom with all their changes. They're just there differently. And it's no big deal. But it is different. So I call it my archive when I'm talking to my clients. How about big prints? I'm not a fan of the word big when talking about prints. And if you've watching the show for a while, you might have an understanding of why I say that. But big is subjective. So if you've got a large wall, and the only thing, and maybe a large sofa sitting in front of it, and nothing's on the wall, a 16 by 20 is very small on that wall. So sizing of prints has nothing to do with your preconceived ideas, nor your client's preconceived ideas. It has only to do with how are you going to be using the print. That's the only thing that big should refer to. And so therefore, I'd say just don't use it. I will say appropriately sized for the space, or adequate. So appropriately sized, adequate. Adequate may mean that it's a size, a few inches smaller. And by the way, I speak in terms of feet, because I do wall portraits, and wall portraits aren't 8 by 10s. That's when you do a collage. And I might do collages, but I don't call them wall portraits when I'm doing that. call them collages. I sometimes call, and we'll come to this, I sometimes call 8x10s gift prints, 5x7s too. But we'll get to that here in just a moment. So big prints is appropriately sized or adequate. Now, how about the word buy? When the client buys something from you, I like to use the word own. So when I'm talking about that print that could be on their wall, can you imagine the joy you'll feel owning this image and being able to have it proudly displayed for you to enjoy every single day? So I like to use the word own instead of buy. How about, and this is photography side, this is the word chimping. Have you heard of chimping? Where you're looking at the back of at the back of your camera after every single photograph. I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do. I'm just saying it has a word for it. You might want to call that an image review instead of chimping. How about contract? Contract. That word sometimes triggers people. It's not a wrong word. It's not a bad word. But you might choose to use agreement instead. How about cost or price of your services? You might choose to use the word investment, especially if it is a significant investment. How about customer? I like to call them client. This is one we talked about already. But you might group all clients into the category of patron. Patron, P-A-T-R-O-N, patron, because a patron is someone who supports art. If you consider yourself an artist, then maybe your clients are patrons. Up to you. How about customer? Excuse me, how about deal or promotion when you're running some kind of a special deal or promotion? Maybe opportunity, special offer. How about down payment? Now, not everybody does a down payment. I don't do down payments, but they're fine. There's times when that is the appropriate tool to use, but down payment. How about initial investment? Initial investment. How about editing or culling? You know, the process that you go through once you've finished a job and you get back to your computer. How about post-processing? It's not bad to call it editing or culling. I use those words. But in addition to that, I do call it post-processing when I'm talking about the entire process afterwards. How about the word free? What's another word for free? Complimentary. Complimentary. You ever used the word around a client, full resolution? What does that mean to them? If I use it, I will have to define it when I'm talking to a client. So I might say high resolution instead. I might say printable resolution, but those mean different things as well. Full resolution generally means that it is in its full state. It could mean that you haven't even done artwork to it, but I don't recommend that. An artwork is just the work that you do, the post-processing after you create images. So how about gallery? Again, it's a good word. But what if this gallery is in person, not on the internet? I like to use in that instance exhibition. An exhibition. How about gear? Your stuff that you use to create these images. How about equipment or photographic or camera equipment? What happens to a photograph when you print it and you put it on the wall? You hang it on the wall. I prefer to use the word display. Display it on the wall. Now, as a full service photographer, I install the print on their wall. Full service means you give them zero work. Now, they have the work of getting themselves prepared and showing up to whatever location you've agreed on. So yeah, they have some work, but that's something that you couldn't possibly do for them. All the things that a photographer has the ability to do, whether you do it or not, if you are doing all the things that a photographer has the ability to do, which all goes all the way to installing, then you're full service. but it depends on the type of work that you do. For instance, if you're doing headshots for people's LinkedIn accounts, well, then sending them an optimized digital file would be considered full service. All right. How about when you are photographing and something, let's say you're doing studio lighting and the light is too hot, too much light is on them. When photographing someone, if you're photographing with your peers, you might say that light is too hot, or it's there's that this image is hot. You may say that there's specular highlights that are too hot. So there's a lot of things you may describe as hot, but it just means that there's too much light. But if you're working with someone, they may not understand, and they may think you're calling them hot because they don't do this every single day like you do. If you're photographing a high school senior girl, you may have an area that's overexposed, and you may say, "Can you back up?" Tell your assistant, "Can you back up the light for me? It's too hot." So maybe they get it out of context, but maybe you use it in a way where they don't. I'd say avoid that word. Yeah, it's proper. It's normal. It's common among your peers. How about using overexposed or too bright? And I would lean towards too bright, because overexposed might cause them to look down and pull up. So while that's proper too, maybe too bright is the right way to say it. How about an invoice? How about bill or billing or statement? How about the word job? What's an alternative to it? Assignment, session, photography session. How about the word lab, printer, or finisher? Nothing wrong with the word lab. I use it all the time. But here's an alternate, printer or finisher. How about low resolution? We talked about full resolution. How about low resolution? Optimized for web use, not for printing purposes. You can print anything, it just won't look very good in low resolution. Optimized for web use. How about the word packages? If you've got a wedding, if you do wedding photography, you might have packages. Not all do, but many do. And there's lots of different photographers that use packages. If you're a boudoir photographer, if you're different types of portrait work, you might use packages. How about using the word collections instead of packages? Again, it's just an alternate word. How about picture, photo, pic, one that we talked about earlier? I like to call it photograph, image, wall portrait. So there's some additional words. How about post-processing or photoshopping? How about the alternative of image enhancement? How about the word proof? I haven't heard people use proof much in quite a while, but still, it's a common word, and people in photography industry would know what a proof is. So how about original or preview? These would be the images that you show them, and a lot of people call them preview, or they call the act of showing them the images a reveal. So there's a lot of ways to say this. Proof or proofing is something I don't normally use and rarely recommend. How about the word refund? I hope you've never experienced a refund, but if you do, you may call that a return. However, before doing a refund, try to fix the situation first. And I know you will, because giving back someone's money hurts. So we avoid things that hurt. All right, next one is a reorder. Reorder. I might call that an enhanced order. Retakes, additional images, retouching, image enhancement, or artwork. How about a retoucher, someone who does artwork, an image editor, or a digital artist? What about a salesperson? You are a salesperson, or you hire one, but sales is absolutely necessary in photography. No matter how much you have an aversion to the word, you are a salesperson. But maybe you don't want to call yourself that. Or if you hire someone, maybe you want to call them a portrait consultant or a wedding consultant. How about a sales pitch? How about presentation or consultation? The word sell, alternate may be help you get what you want, because that's what selling is helping someone else get what they want. How about shoot, to shoot, or on a shoot? How about create photographs or session? How about when you sign a contract? Can you okay this right here? And they know to sign it. You send it to them online, or you send it to them as an email or text. I'm going to send you the contact. I'm going to send you the agreement, and I just need for you to okay it. All right. What about a sitting? Even if you're in a studio where sitting is proper common, how about a photography session? What about a sitting fee, session fee, investment, or I like to call it a creation fee, because it's not just the time they spend with me, it's the entire creation that they're paying for. How about small prints? I mentioned this before. I call them gift prints, and anything under 8 by 10 and smaller is a small print. 11 by 14 is kind of a weird one because it doesn't look good on a desk. It's too small for the wall. And 16 by 20 is really too small in a lot of applications, but I would consider that the smallest of the wall portrait category. And so maybe instead of small prints, we can call them gift prints, especially, of course, when we are giving them as a gift. But I like to say gift print size. How about take a picture, create, or make a photograph? This is one of my big ones, because while take is proper and common and has been forever, it seems to me that you can't take something that does not yet exist. So therefore, taking a picture, while common and it's what everybody knows and understands, it is what everybody knows and understands and says. So therefore, it wouldn't be considered in the professional language category. It would be considered in the amateur language category. And so that's why I don't like to say take a picture. I like to say create or make a photograph. All right. There's a lot more words, a lot more. I'm not going to go over anymore, though. By the way, I did those in alphabetical order. We could do that in any order, but those are alphabetical. And it's just easier to find words when I put them in alphabetical order. So that's a personal choice. All right. So why should we care about this stuff? I mean, we just went over some words and alternatives, and you may feel, so what? I mean, I'm going to talk the way I want to talk. Well, I've gone over a couple of things already, but let me spend just a moment longer with that. Effective communication. There's two main reasons. One's effective communication. Proper terms have clear and commonly understood meanings within a specific context or industry. Using them promotes effective communication by ensuring that ideas, concepts, and intentions are accurately conveyed. It helps avoid misunderstandings or confusion that may arise from slang or ambiguous terms. How about this one? Professionalism and credibility. In professional settings, using proper terms demonstrates professionalism, competence, and expertise. It helps establish credibility among colleagues, clients, and industry professionals. Empowering language can enhance your reputation and build trust with others. Now, can using proper terminology have an unintended result? I mean, you've probably come across times when people are using big words and it feels like they're showing off or trying to elevate their status and lower yours. So can using proper technology have a negative effect? Everything in life, every tool has a positive and has an effect and a side effect. Everyone. This can too. Now, with your target market, it might not, but outside of your target market, it could. And that's another reason why I am so heavily pressuring you guys to identify who your target market is, so you spend time with just them. And if you don't know who your target market is, it's like going on a road trip and never defining where you're going, just wandering every road that just looks good and wind up getting lost. It doesn't make sense when you're in a business. So maybe those people who don't like the big words, maybe they think that you're attempting to belittle them. I don't know. But while this has probably never been your intent, it is something to at least consider. When you know or suspect that this could be the case, to ensure that the use of proper terms doesn't upset or bother the person you're speaking with, you may approach, you may choose to approach the situation with empathy and understanding. And we photographers are usually really good at that. But you also may choose to stand your ground and suggest a different photographer for them. Maybe you can realize that they aren't the right target market for you. It's totally your thing. You do what's right for your situation. No matter what, though, respectful communication involves active listening. Of course, you're also going to be recognizing their individual preferences. And of course, you're open to dialogue. You want this back and forth communication with people. So, depending on your business model, to differing degrees, it is essential to create an inclusive space where people feel comfortable expressing their viewpoints, where they feel heard and respected within your target market. Of course, everyone knows that language is constantly evolving, um, and it's just part of culture. It is our language is constantly evolving. We're very well aware of this. If we read a book from 40 years ago or 100 years ago, the language that is used in that book is quite different than the language you use now. Now, it could be because of the local area, but generally speaking, language is changing for better or for worse. I'm not commenting on whether that's a good thing or not. I'm just saying that it does. And different individuals are going to have different expectations or different perspectives, different preferences. So, in no scenario am I suggesting that you blindly follow uh, without question these changes in terminology. You choose what's right for you, what's best for you, and it may be important to seek a balance between using proper terms and respecting personal choices and preferences if your goal is to foster positive and inclusive environment. So the bottom line is, to each their own. You just have to know what yours is, what you believe in, and head that direction. So what are what are some of the words, and I actually created a list that had well over 200, so I'm not going to be even attempting to share that. But what are some of the words that people have asked about? So when navigating the business side of this profession of photography, portrait photography, many don't know or have not yet come across words, and so therefore, or phrases, or terminology, so therefore it could be confusing, or it could at least be unfamiliar. And so here are a few examples of some things that people are coming across, or maybe they know the word but they don't necessarily understand the definition. So go over just a couple of those real quick. How about cost of goods sold? You may just call it by its acronym, COGS. The direct costs associated with producing or delivering a product or service. Expenses like printing, packaging, any materials or resources that are used specifically for your client's order are cost of goods sold. How about your profit margin? This is the amount or the percentage of revenue that represents profit earned after accounting for all of your costs, your expenses. How about ROI, return on investment? This is a measure of profitability or efficiency in an investment. It could be evaluating returns generated from marketing campaigns, equipment purchases, or business development initiatives. How about a conversion rate? This is the percentage of prospects or leads that take a desired action, whatever it is you want them to do, such as making a purchase, booking a session, or just getting on your calendar to talk. You are defining what that is, and you are doing conversion rate on all those different things, not just one. How about call to action? You may just see it written as CTA, call to action. Everything you do, everything you send out, your website, your social media needs to have a call to action. Your prospects need to know what it is you want them to do, because there's a ton of stuff that they're going to cross paths with. And if you don't make it real easy, 1, 2, 3, these are the steps, and make it just one step if you can, but call to action. It's a specific instruction or prompt that encourages the prospect to take a desired action, such as signing up for a newsletter, booking a session. How about CRM, client relationship management? By the way, most of the time it's called customer, but I call it client. CRM is a software where you collect information, use systems and processes to track interactions, and use strategies to manage and nurture relationships. We should all have CRM programs. Yes, they cost, but the prices come down so much that pretty much everybody can afford them now. Lead generation, identifying and attracting your target market through various marketing tactics, strategies, content marketing, and social media advertising and networking. How about uh, ROI, return on I just did return on investment. How about SEO, search engine optimization, the process used to improve a website's visibility and ranking on organic or unpaid search engine page results. And one more word before I get to the closing thoughts: e-commerce, online business transactions, such as booking a session, selling prints, or digital downloads through an online platform or website. By the way, for portrait photographers, I don't recommend selling your prints online. I recommend doing it in person. But it is a tool that portrait photographers use. And if you're a wedding photographer, selling prints online is a fantastic way of doing that, because the guest won't otherwise be able to see the photographs. And while they're not likely to buy a whole lot of photographs, there's going to be a handful of them that buy one or two. So putting them online, e-commerce, is a fantastic way to collect a little more income that you would not have otherwise had. E-commerce. Now, in closing, let me put up that. By the way, if you've liked the things that you've heard, if you've heard some things that were interesting, if you've heard some things that you think that you could benefit from, do me a favor. Say something in the comments. Let me know. It could be just as simple as "Thanks, I appreciate it," or "This was good," or "I hadn't even considered that word before," or why I would choose to do that, or why I would not use slang and instead use professional language. I hadn't even thought about it before. Tell me something in the comments. I want to know that you're here and that I'm not talking to myself. I don't need to be talking to myself. I've got other stuff to do, but I want to help you guys. So here's some closing thoughts. Understanding and utilizing professional language can elevate your professionalism. It can enhance your client's perception of you. And I believe it can actually contribute to your success. By embracing proper terminology, you convey respect for photography. You convey respect for your clients and respect for the value that you bring to your clients, making it easier to establish yourself as a true professional who goes above and beyond. It doesn't mean that people who don't use high-end language aren't doing things that are above and beyond. It doesn't mean that. It means the perception is easier. It comes easier to those who you're speaking with, who are in your target market, assuming they appreciate that terminology, of course. So remember, just like your photography, your language is a powerful tool that can shape perceptions and build lasting relationships with clients. All right. If you got something that you can use today, please make a comment about it right now. Go over to the comment section, make a comment about it. It could be just as simple as a thank you. I appreciate that kind of thing. Hit that love button, hit that like button. Let me know that you appreciate this. Your words of encouragement fuel me. to continue to bring these valuable suggestions to elevate your portrait photography business. Now, I have some announcements, and then I'm going to share the next two shows, next week's and the week after. And so the first announcement I'm going to give you is uh, we have a annual San Antonio Youth Photography Tournament. There's also a regular tournament. So there's both a youth version and a regular version. The youth version is coming up first, though, and that's on July 23rd. And that's a Sunday, and it's at Confluence Park. This year, we are partnering with the nonprofit organization, the San Antonio River Foundation. That means that all of the donations that people give to help support this are going to be tax deductible, where they hadn't been before, and we were still able to get tens of thousands of dollars worth of donations. So we'll see how this goes, but this is going to be at Confluence Park, right on the San Antonio River, and to get more information about that, and I just realized I hadn't. Let me put that in the comments section real quick. This address that I'm about to give you, I'm typing it in right now, is where you find more information and you can buy tickets. It's on Eventbrite. This is for the kids version. The regular version that is in October. The sales aren't open for that yet. There we go. All right. So in your feed right now, in the news feed, in the comments section, you should see the link the to the additional information for the kids version. So this is an instant gratification photographers tournament. The participants will come on that morning and get the list. They don't come with their photographs. They come with their cameras. And they get the list at the beginning of the tournament. They go out and they photograph all the categories that they want to participate in. Then they turn those in, and they do that online, and the images are then judged while the participants are having lunch. And then after lunch, we announce the winners, and we print certificates for them, and we hand out the prizes. Therefore, after we are finished at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a little after, they walk away and it's done. It's over. It's not a popularity contest to see who can get the most likes on Facebook and Instagram. It's a one-day thing. It's what we call it, the instant gratification photographers challenge. And so this for the kids is just a fun event. It's just a fun event for the regular one too. It's for ages 12 and up in October. And it's just fun. It's not to find out who the best photographer in the area is. This is a fun tournament. In fact, I think it was the third or fourth event that we did. This year is the 11th annual for the regular tournament and the fifth annual for the kids tournament. But in the regular one, the third or fourth, the person who won, the grand champion, was someone who had only had their first camera, for 3 weeks. That's it, and they won. When you have it, you have it. This is the kids version, of course, that you see here coming up on July 23rd. Use that link, get more information, and let other people know about it. Because let's say you don't have kids, you probably know some. Pass this along to them. Thank you for doing so. The next photography class that I'm teaching, and by the way, I spend most of my time on the business side. So I've got mostly private clients, and I do group classes on the business side. But anything to elevate the business side is something I do, and a lot of it's private sessions. And so this one that you're seeing on the screen right now is a photography class, not one of the business classes. Creative photography, that's on July 11th. Now you can go to landersphotoSchool.com and click on classes and click on Photo 102 or Creative Photography. Both names are there. This is Photo 102, but it's using the basic tools to create beautiful images, creative photography. And each one of them is a field trip where we walk around. We start by talking about what we're going to do and sharing and answering questions, and then we go out and we walk around. We have a photo walk, and so this is just a fun opportunity. And there are 4 2-hour sessions, and you don't choose the one that you want. You get all 4 2-hour sessions. So go to landersphotoSchool.com. Now, as you know, we do the Portrait Profits Show every single Monday. So I want to tell you what the next 2 Mondays have in store. So the 1 week from today, we're already going to be in July, the day before July 4th. Many of you will have that day off. So you might be with family, but you're there's a lot of you who aren't going to be working, and so therefore it'd be very easy to watch the show. This is going to be a fun one. This one is going to be kind of different because I'm going to put myself in a fictional situation where I am dropped off in some area, some city, town where I've never been. I have no connections there, and I'm dropped off with my camera and a laptop so that I have the ability to send images to people. But I have just the basics, a 15-year-old camera and a laptop that is good enough to do the job. And 1 week's worth of hotel paid for so that I don't have to sleep in, somewhere and not be able to have connection to electricity. So yeah, I have a couple of limitations that I'll put on myself. Again, this is fictional, but if I were to be dropped off in this town, in this city, and with no connections, I don't know anybody, what would I do right away that first week to set myself up for a thriving photography business? That's what's coming in 1 week from today. And then 2 weeks from today is when we do it's the second Monday of the month. And the second Monday, we do something different. We have a panel. We have a panel discussion where we bring on photographers or people who are really good at the subject to talk about the subject that we bring up. This particular one is called If I Had to Start Over. So, what would those guys do? Knowing what they know today, what would they do if they had to start over? Because it may be very different from what they actually did. And all of us can benefit from hearing that. That's in 2 weeks from today. Add it to your calendar, and we move it to 6:30 in the evening to accommodate their schedules, because it's difficult to get 3 photographers or 3 people to be panelists during the middle of the day. So it's a lot easier to get them to come in the evening on a Monday. So that's what we do. We move the time to 6:30 in the evening instead of noon, like our regular time is on that second Monday of every month. So July 10th, add it to your calendar, 6:30 in the evening. All right. So we've been talking about portrait business vocabulary, and I hope that you have gotten a lot out of this today. I hope that you can use some of the things that we talked about. I hope that something has triggered inside of you that has some kind of long lasting positive effect. You saw earlier that I do a private 30-minute consultation for free for all of you guys. If all you have to do is put yourself on my calendar. So go back into the news feed and click on that link, add yourself to my calendar. If you'd like to talk about something specific, talk about something further, I welcome you to do that. We're at the end of another Portrait Profit Show. So for Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, this is Jim Landers bringing you the weekly Portrait Profit Show, helping you excel in your portrait photography business through valuable tips and insights, helping you stay on track towards the success I believe you deserve. Join us every Monday for evolving content as we unravel the mysteries of the business side of photography. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Portrait Profit Show. I look forward to watching you grow. Bye for now.